Okay, hi, I'm Angie de Los Santos, and this is the process that I took in choosing my topic. I first started by searching for a U.S. history timeline that ranged from World War II to the 1990s. The one I used was America's Best History Timeline, and that one gives you from 1700s, 1800s. So I scrolled down to the 1900s, and I looked for World War II. Everything's broken down in decades: 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. When I first read about the assignment, I wanted to do World War II, so I kind of focused on that. This one's the 1940s. Started looking, and to see what something that was familiar to me. Came to the attack on Pearl Harbor and the Normandy invasion in 1944. That also sounded familiar. And I moved on to the 1950s, and here the things that stood out was the racial segregation in mid-50s and Rosa Parks. Those are about the ones that stood out to me. And then I went into the 1960s, and that was more of Kennedy, Martin Luther, civil rights, and all this was during also the Vietnam War. So I looked into that, and then I decided to look to see if a topic was too broad. So, for example, the Vietnam War was about 20 years, so therefore there'd be a lot of events that happened in between those 20 years. So I didn't want to talk about something that involved too many, a main topic that involved too many smaller topics to talk about. So I narrowed down my choice, ended up choosing Pearl Harbor as my topic of discussion. I also chose this topic because I would like to learn more about it. I think we've all seen the movie, read about it in history class, but I don't really know the details behind it. So I'm kind of looking forward to reading about it. So when researching Pearl Harbor, I just kind of started with Wikipedia and just looked over it, but I wanted to find out how did it begin and what happened before the attack. I said and I'll be talking about the countries involved, which is Japan and the U.S., what each country did before the attack, during the attack, and after the attack, who was in charge of the U.S. at the time and who was in charge of Japan at the time. Also, were there any strategies that the countries used to plan the attack? Also, with war comes what you have casualties, but it's not only the soldiers involved, and you have civilians. So kind of how did life get affected for them during the attack and after the attack? So I'll be talking about that too. Those are some of the questions that I will be focused on for my discussion topic. Of course, I won't stick to these just in general, but I will be using this as a guide. And I think that's it. Thank you.